If you're a beginner or you have just started or you have been painting watercolor and you have been seeing that even after multiple practice your watercolor is not improving, then there is a certainly there is some issue. And as a professional watercolor artist, I have seen many watercolor beginners. I work with them and I observe one of the problem they have during the filling the color, and that's exactly I'm going to bring it here. I hope that this brings more clarity to you, right? So first we'll talk about the mistake, and then the same thing will just bring it how we can fix it. So whenever I see beginners apply the color, let's take an example here. I'm just taking burnt sienna, and what they do is they just take a color. Either they will take a very a little water or take a lot of water, right? So I'll just talk about the very first the very first problem what I observe. They just take a lot of color basically, and let's say they will make it more like this. Very calculative, uh, very calculative way to apply the color here, like how they feel it like this, right? They feel it like this. If there is any detail, they do something like this. Imagine that if there is some other color, then they'll just take let's say in this example, if I want to take a yellow ochre, they generally, I've seen that they just fill it like this, purely all that color comes here like this, right? And possibly they'll also try to mix it and apply it here like this, okay? And then again they will go ahead, and there is nothing wrong at least when you are starting with watercolor, but thing is you should be aware what is the problem you are actually doing, what is the mistake actually you are doing, right? So you do like something like this, and then let's work on this possibly this ultramarine blue. If they want to make this more like the blue color here, okay, they'll take a pretty much deep color here, and very gently they just do something like this. Exactly it is. And this wall is extended, so they'll just make it something like this, okay? And if the roof is, let's say if it is a bright orange, maybe a terracotta, so they just put it here like this. That's their understanding for the watercolor. And as I said, it's not it's not a fault, it's not their fault they are doing something like this. It's just because why they are doing it, because they have not exposed to the right way to do this. Now imagine that this side, the darker side is this, light is coming from this angle, right? So this side is a depth, maybe they have seen in the reference, and then they just mix this and make it a very solid depth here. Okay, and maybe something like this. They'll just mix it here like this. Typically I've seen people doing something like this because they have seen that there is a depth, and they just try to make things darker here like this. If it is more dark, then something like this. So now if there is anything there in the behind, they just make it like this rock sort of thing. They just do something like this. And this is the soil, this is the ground. So you have seen something like this many times. At least I've experienced people are doing something like this. And I said, there's a, it's okay. People are doing it because they're not aware of how to do this, because they believe that giving the same color here, what they have seen in the actual photograph or reference image or in their imagination also, they have just made it their mind that if the light is coming from this side, then this is the light and the depth is here. Their understanding is absolutely right. But the problem here is how to apply that, how to apply the depth and the light, the tonal value of this. Do if the, let's say this particular hut having a blue color wall, do I need to use the same blue color all the way here? Is that the tonal value we need to have? Is that the tonal value here and the here should be the same? Or we can do something else? How we can bring this in a more professional way to make a variation, to make a flavor, I would say. How we can bring the flavor that makes more more professional, more interesting, right? So I've seen that this is the mistake they are doing it here. And initially when they've started their watercolor, it's fine, but you need to bring these mistakes into in a professional way. How we can just fix this over the time? Absolutely, I completely agree if you are doing it today, but after a certain period of time you have to move from this to this, so this transformation happens. These are the mistakes you are doing it here, and these mistakes you can transform in a right way. Now let's move into this. Before starting this, if you love watercolor and want to grow with that, then my Patreon is just for you. As a member, you will get exclusive access to step-by-step tutorials and behind-the-scene painting session and creative insight that I don't share anywhere else. But more than that, you will become a part of the growing watercolor community where we support, learn, and grow together. So please check that out, the link I've given in the description. Now since we have seen this, and let's move here. I'm using the same ultra burnt sienna. I'll just take this. All I want you to do is just understand the volume of water. You need to bring the variation into it. So, and be a little agile. What I mean is, you just leave some gap, give some depth here, and when you are just doing something like this, you just do something like this. If you, even if it is the same color, but I want you to bring the variation into it. So here you have the color. Now you see this particular the upper part has some interesting uh, gradients. There is a blending with two color. So I'm just adding same thing there what we have used here in this section, uh, yellow ochre, and just adding a little bit of Banciana to make it more the color, and overall the color scheme should match from each other, so it relates from the subject right from top to bottom part. So that's the whole idea here. We just wanted to have some bit of variation with a lighter pigment, darker pigments, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly I'm just trying to do it here. I can also add a little more color to bring a variation, and it's a beautiful way to bring certain color, certain variation. Because if you see the left side, we have used a one or two color. I mean, almost like a one color. But here, what we are using a certain amount of color, which is darker pigments, lighter pigments, and overall harmony. And this is how basically we see that we can differentiate between the harmony between these two. The softer edge, the softer the color, and now we can just go for the what we have done in there, the roof part. I'm just using very contrast orange color here, and very plain color, but I just wanted to have a mixture of everything. So I'm just blending it together like an upper section of this tower. I'm blending it there to bring a flavor. These are the part of flavor. And now we have another roof, extended roof, that also we just painted. And everything I'm just doing it with a complete with a full confidence. And let's work on this the wall, and it's a blue, but even if it is in a darker blue, I really don't care to make it a prominent blue, because the moment you'll make a very prominent blue, things will be more like very it looks very awkward. If it is a blue, then look at your fresh perspective. What color, how we can just make it it's blue, so I'm just adding a little more blue, but I really don't want to have a very contrast blue like what we have done here in left section, right? These are the evolution should happen within you. This is how we can just fix our perspective, how we look at our artwork. The depth. Now see, I'm just working on the depth. The blue, I'm using the blue, right? But look at the pigment. Look at the pigment of both the places, both the painting. If you have a background like this rock and all, so we can have on a softer color pigments here. We can also play with the variation of color, like we can add, possibly we can add a little more depth there, and we can also merge it all with this the ground there. So everything is getting merged, everything is mixed together. Like what we see is that there's a lot of edge cut there, but now you see like in harmony. Can you see that? Can you identify how we have just done there this here in the mistake section, where we have just tried to have a lot of depth here, and just try to put more color there to make it more contrast, but overall it looks very good. But if you look at this section, you see like harmony. It's a very flat and very lighter version of, and if you wanted to bring the shades, we will do it in our second layer. So let it dry completely, and then we'll go for our second layer to bring the whatever the depth it requires to display its light and depth and shades and everything. That has to go in that particular way. And we will achieve this in our second layer. Now we can go ahead to paint. This is dried, and this is the perfect time to start the second layer. And I'm going back to the mistake where I've seen many beginners who just wanted to bring some brush strokes to reflect its shades or some other values. So and most of the time what I've seen is they just do certain kind of lines to depict uh, its light and shades, etc. And they are doing it because they are not aware how the brush stroke should work, and that is why they are just using a very lighter, a very thin outline, is almost like a thin outline in their painting. And that brings a lot of busyness. It started becoming very unrealistic. Taking an example of the house, they just want to make a shade, and instead of making a very bold brush strokes, they just try to do something like this. I've seen this. I've seen this in many of the beginners, and these are the problem. Uh, it continues to, for their long way, and that becomes very frustrating for them, because if they start doing something like this and they keep doing like this, because they wanted to make it a slanting line, sometimes straight or left brush strokes. So they're not aware which direction the brush stroke should be, and they just do something like this to get the effect. And I completely understand from their point of view, because they feel like doing certain things in a certain way, things will get emerged and it will look nice. But more and more the color patches and the strokes, they are doing it, and that becomes more frustrating for them because it's not the way it is. Now let's move into this section. So all I'm just doing here is I'm taking this burnt sienna and mixing a little bit of ultramarine blue to make a little darker pigments. And since the light is coming from this side, very, I mean, in a very confident way. The very first thing is, like, you need to have a very confident approach of dealing such kind of if it is this way, so your strokes should be in this direction, right? And you have given here something like this, and you can also have a very tiny depth here and there. And now see what we are just doing it here. We need to have a patch here. We can just do something like this. All you have to do is take a one very confident patch here, something like this, and here we have a window, something like this. Even if it is a bigger, you can just take a one stroke, one or two stroke. Things should be detailed out. I mean, it should tells the story that yes, this is what it is, and you are leaving this, this light that depicts that, okay, light is coming from this side. If you want to have something like this, you can just have something a little more patch here, something like this. It's required your a bit of uh, courage or confidence to build this. And to build this confidence, all you have to do it without even thinking so much about losing your artwork. When I've spoken with many people, what I understand is that a lot of people, they just don't want to do certain kind of work because they believe, they have a fear that they will lose their artwork, and their their effort will go in vain, because if they'll do certain kind of work. Now see, you have this patch, you have these strokes, and these strokes, you need to develop that stroke, right? Now let's work on this side of, you have one very gentle depth here, and something like this to bring the its detail. I don't want to go and give a lot of strokes like this. All I'm just done here is I've just given a one patch here, one strokes here, and do a very bit of on top of it, something like this, here and there, and there is a more depth coming in here for this, and that's all we need. There is nothing much you have to do it here in this. If there is anything, just one patch here. Yeah, this is what. Now you just imagine that when I'm just doing this kind of a work, it also requires your confident brush strokes. It doesn't ask you anything more. So I've seen this transformation in many of the beginners who has been doing this, and suddenly they have changed their approach, something like this. So being more confident, applying a more confident strokes makes things more interesting and less complicated. And I'm sure that you will have some challenge initially, but you have to put your effort. You have to give your effort of doing certain kind of practice, and that brings the positive changes within you, for sure, right? So like this, something, I've not done anything here in this, right? All I've just done here is bringing the variation, and that is the most important thing to understand in watercolor. Even though the wall is deep blue, can you reimagine? Can you be creative enough to make things more bluish but not deep blue? Why should I go for a deeper blue? Even though if it is there, you're telling that yes, it's blue. But if you are going for a deeper blue, you can go for it, but not now. It will take some time for you, at least when you started your beginning. So now after this, you have to give a little more depth here somewhere, and you can conclude your artwork here and there wherever it is possibly required. Not too much everywhere, but somewhere, some point, it is required. You can just have some dry technique stuff, make things a little more interesting, adding some flavor, adding something in the terracotta terrace, anything. There's a lot many things can be added here, right? So this is exactly I just wanted to communicate with you. Now you can just fairly see the difference between these two. These are the mistakes you have to transform into your success, and this is how you should be doing it. Right, thank you so much everyone, and I would request you to check my Patreon membership, join my Patreon, tier Patreon membership. So you'll get a tier benefit. You'll get lots of ideas, a lot of watercolor tutorials, my sketches, uh, and various other motivational stuff for you in your journey, and that will be really helpful for you to take your watercolor journey forward. So check that out. Yeah, the link I've given in the description, and this is a great way to support me as an artist to create more videos, something like this for you. So till then, I'll be coming with a new video very soon, and till then, take care, enjoy, and practice more. Thank you so much, everyone.